Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Beyond the Call show, episode 2. Technically, we've done recap shows similar to this before, but we're ready to go live now. Sorry about the delay. Valve season, the CS:GO matches ran over for me. There was technical delays, map threes, overtimes, everything. So we had a bit of a fun, fucky time with that one. But we're here for the Beyond the Call show to discuss Call of Duty. I'm not making any comments as to which one's the best esport because I'd like to keep jobs in both. So we'll keep that one. We'll keep that one open for now.
Valorant, yeah.
I'm a pro Valorant player.
Pro Valorant caster, guys.
Game's not even fucking out yet. But today we've got a plethora of topics to be talking about. We've got a multitude of things to be dispensing our opinions upon, to be inflicting you with, if that's what we're going to be calling it. We're going to be popping off a few shots, likely as not, because we know that some people have got a kind of axe to grind today.
Axe to grind? Yeah, I think that's one way to say it.
Yeah. So, with a few axes to grind, let's get things going. Just in case anyone in chat is concerned as to why Connor is wearing a hat, he's got us under, arm barred or whatever because
I've got him on the ropes.
He's got us on the ropes because he said, technically we said next week and it's still this week still. So
yeah. Who tweeted that? Whose fault is it?
I think that was actually you.
Yeah.
I didn't tweet it.
I think it was me. It's my bad.
Oh.
Anyway, we're all here. We're all here, ready to talk about it. So I think what we'll do, because we know we like making players wait to hear about themselves so we can sustain viewership for as long as possible, we'll get the boring stuff out of the way first with the Toronto Ultra Northern rivals, and then we'll discuss... that's exactly what I mean, yeah. It wasn't very well publicised, was it? But we'll get that out of the way first. We'll speak about it just briefly, and then we'll move on to the 1K, because obviously everyone's here to listen to themselves get either shit on or praised up to hell and heaven, so...
I know, I'm praising.
Shut the fuck up. No one cares.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because I was right.
Cheers, Connor. Right, anyway, Toronto Ultra, Northern Rivals. Here we are then. What do we think? What was we taking away from it? Obviously, we're not really going to talk about the results because this is a European show. But, Brody, I guess take us away with this topic, I suppose.
I think I'm the only one here that actually watched any of
Brody,
it.
can you tell me what it is, please?
Did anybody here actually watch the first Challengers event of the season?
No.
Nobody watched
No.
it.
I didn't know it was a thing.
There is a reason for that, because the promotion for it was fucking terrible. Like, right, there are positives. We'll start with the positives, right? The Toronto Ultra. So for anybody who watched the Northern Rivals event, it was kind of our first look at what the new production will look like, because obviously coronavirus has sent all of our events online, and the Toronto Ultra Northern Rivals event was what it will look like. From now on, and then from that perspective, from that point of view, it doesn't look that bad. Everyone's sitting at home casting, cut to cameras, cut to gameplay. It doesn't look that bad from a production standpoint. I think, that in itself, the event was pretty good. That being said, there were some downsides, and like I said, you guys, you didn't even watch it.
Not a clue.
Mainly because of the fact that, as I said, the production, the advertisement was nothing.
And for me, the reason I didn't watch it is because there was literally barely anyone in it that I cared about.
The reason I didn't watch it.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Now,
well, exactly. Like,
yeah.
Go on, George.
It's obviously ignorant of me to say because I'm supposed to be a codcaster, but I don't have enough time in the day to keep up on every scene in North America because there's a lot of players in AM level in North America. 1K is massive, and if you're going to do an all-Canadian tournament, and then that's even reducing the prize, or at least the kind of
100%.
sample size of people that I actually know. So it's very difficult for me to talk about who I think is actually good in that. So I didn't really waste my time watching it because I ended up watching, I think LEC was on or something, or even like CS or something is on.
No,
so
we played League instead.
Literally anything else.
Literally.
I just think like nobody knew about it. Like
that's the thing. I didn't know about it till the day it was happening.
I didn't know about it until like 15 minutes before we went live. You said about it. Literally the only time I actually heard of it.
But to be fair, Chris, you're always the most out of the loop person out of the four
I have been
of us
for
anyway.
quite some time. And probably will
That's
be.
because of his age.
Again.
Yeah, it's true. He's like Internet Explorer.
Slow
takes a
poke,
while
yeah.
to load anything. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the problem. Like, I mean, like, first of all, the fact it's on YouTube anyway is a massive setback. I mean, we said that. Like, if you don't know where it is, unlike Twitch, it's not like you're going to get people who just come over and want to watch the esport. Right? That's the biggest problem. Because it was on YouTube, no one knew sort of it was going on. I think like at one point it had like 200 viewers like max. I don't know. It wasn't that well advertised at all. The fact that the COD League retweeted it once and that was it. It's not good in my opinion. And I like personally speaking, I think for the COD League, when it comes to sort of like, you want to promote your Challengers scene, and one of the biggest issues of the Challengers scene, one of the sole reasons that there isn't a Challengers broadcast, is the fact that the Challengers viewership is bad. I mean, you're not helping yourself.
Today. Yeah.
You're certainly not helping yourself when you're not promoting it correctly, and that to me is personally my view on it. That being said, as well, I think there were a few smaller issues of the event, as George said. I mean, the fact it was an all Canadian tournament for 13.5 grand. I don't necessarily think that was the right play.
I wouldn't even mind, but Canada's not even a real country anyway.
I don't know.
Well, it is okay. Let's be fair to Trudeau.
Jesus Christ.
Right? Let's be fair to Trudeau and the boys and the maple syrup and all that lot. Canada's a country, but the issue being is with the North American scene is because it's Canada only. There are very, very few, if any, teams in North America which are just Canadian. So your Toronto Open is just Canadian pickup teams.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no one's going to be full. I think the only full Canadian team we basically ever had was like EG last year, and that was about it. Like,
not even Canadian. Is that Canadian?
There was like a one point where EG was like basically fully Canadian, like 4/5 Canadian.
I didn't remember that.
But yeah, like it was like we never had it. So to me, I get it. You know, you want to hold a. I mean, it was clearly Canadian focused. Like, all of the talent was Canadian. There was a reason they didn't get codcasters on outside of Visions, was because they just wanted homegrown Canadian talent. But I think there are definitely lessons to be learned here from the Northern Rivals event. Despite, you know, the positivity of it, the production being great, and the casting from Visions being great, I think like.
Let's not alienate an entire country.
I just think like there are definitely, if you're a league that has centered its entire audience around North America, why are you then holding a Canadian only tournament? That's my
It
point
doesn't
of
make
view on
any
it.
sense. Like, you're just segregating yourself against like so many different people and the rest of the world.
Mhm.
Therefore, nobody cares then, because you're just like, well, you know, there's no one that I really know entering this, so therefore, I'ma just go and do something else.
Yeah.
Literally what I thought. I saw it was on, and I thought, not really that interested, to be honest.
I just think if it was more like, even if it was just North American teams, I think I would have been more inclined to watch it. I did watch some of it.
Yeah.
I definitely would have been more inclined to watch it if it was actually the top 16 seeds in North
As would I,
America
as would I.
playing in the tournament, because then there are storylines outside of, here are two Canadian pickup teams filled with either ex-pros or top amateur players over the years. They will face off in the grand finals, and everyone else is going to be shit on. Like, that is the way it's going to go. So
Yeah.
definitely lessons to be learned, but I think positive side of it, I think it does show that online post-COVID-19 productions in Call of Duty can work, and we'll get a preview of that tonight as well, because we've got the exhibition matches for the CDL. So
Shit, I forgot about that as well.
they definitely can work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else got anything to add on the Toronto Northern Rivals thing? Because honestly, I don't really have much more to say.
Fair play for them to putting it on. but-
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
And also fair play to getting community casters for it as well.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
great.
Yeah.
I respect the hell out of that. And I
Mhm.
respect the hell for it even putting on in the first place. But
Just market it better, man.
yeah, exactly. Market it better and don't just make it Canadian.
I hope the rest are
Canadian?
like this.
Oh my
Canadian.
god, Canada! I just made an entirely new country.
It's a new country.
Canada, only, because let's face it, you're gonna just kill your viewership.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I hope the rest aren't like this, because you imagine London only getting a retweet from the COD League and that's it.
Yeah, imagine that just being a British only tournament as well. Fucking hell. All the Spanish,
Yeah,
the
like
French
what would
teams.
the Europe? What would that? Yeah, exactly. What would those teams even do? Because there's no franchises for Spain and Germany, like, or Italy. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
Just
to be
it would
fair,
just be like this.
if there was an Italian only competition, it would just be Team Clash, and that would be the only team realistically. So,
I'm trying to think if there are. Oh, well, there must be some.
there must be something somewhere,
yeah,
but off the
there'll
top,
You'd have like the
some, but-
Maltese teams in there as well.
possibly.
Clash Malta.
The few that there are,
Mhm. Yeah.
the one that there is.
Money.
Anyway,
Yes.
I
Right,
guess
anyway.
we'll move on, because the substance of this show, the reason it's on a Sunday is so we can talk about the 1K results that happened yesterday and today, if
Mhm.
they were happening today. So we'll move on to the 1K. Congratulations to Connor Meredith for telling us all to go and suck a fat cock, because he has been calling this happening for ages. Brody has been a doubter of this team for a while.
He's not the only one though, because
I-
I
Yeah, let's
doubted
not
this
call-
team would be
hang
able
on,
to
I-
win.
I
Yeah,
remained
yeah.
firmly on the
I believe
fence.
in your boy.
Right, shut
I
the fuck
believe
up.
in
Put the
you.
brakes on for a second. George singles me out, despite the fact that we were all in agreement, besides Connor last week, that this team
Yes,
was
okay,
not
yeah.
going to be a top 4 roster. So let's get the fuck back on that. one
Okay,
for a
well,
second.
here they are. They're a top 4 roster. In fact, I'll do you one better. They're a top 1 roster. They won the 1K. It is Afro's big black blank. And it tops the scoreboards this week as he takes down all of the top teams on his way to the final. That is no bitch move to get there, and wins the grand final as well. So I suppose Connor's got all the...
That grand final was a 3-0 as well.
Yeah, I know. It's fucking absurd.
me.
So
Fuck me.
let's just have a
Yeah.
quick look down the bracket. So, of
They're
course,
just fucking cracked.
on their way, they came up against Train Hard, same as last week. Normal service was resumed. They beat them.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And then they also come up against London Academy.
Bye-bye.
That was difficult for them last week. They ended up losing that one last week and dropping out in top 4, which, again, testament to us being good at analysts, aren't we? They were top 4 last week too. So, and then... because we slept on them even more, they go up against Harry Potter's owl, Hedwig, in other words. But that is a fat 3-0 in the grand final versus the
3-0,
X-Team War
yeah.
Boys as well.
That's
So,
crazy.
are we
Bye-bye.
done sleeping on Afro and Co, Gizmo and the gang?
That's one off.
Yeah, no, like I think last week, right? I think last week it was warranted, right? Because last week they beat Train Hard, and we could clearly see that the mistakes Train Hard were making in the game. Like we watched it, we could clearly see that they were making mistakes, and there was a reason as to why they lost. That being said, this week I think they've definitely proved themselves. I think they've not only solidified that, but they've gone further. You know, they beat
Right.
3 of what we call the Big 4, right? So they beat the 3 that are in the UK.
They're in the
at
country
moment.
right now,
Yeah, they can't beat S&G because they're not here. I just think it's so mad. Like you think about this roster, ex-Electrify, right? Henry ditched them for the Royal Ravens Academy. I mean, they
Smacked.
certainly fucking put him into the ground this week.
Bye-bye.
I just think it's insane that this roster was only a few weeks ago a top 16 team under Electrify, and now they've moved into a new organization that is as of yet to be announced. And a new team. I mean, what they brought Afro and who else have they brought in? I mean, Afro's been the biggest.
Disarray.
A disarray, right? They've, in my opinion, I think those changes are. I mean, it's crazy, right? I mean, I did not think that they would be a top 4 team. I think I don't think it's fair to call them top 1 just yet. But I
I
definitely
did.
didn't think they'd win a 2K or a 1K. I
this
should say
soon, yeah.
anytime soon.
One thing that I will point out, by the way, is just because I saw this on Twitter last night, and I put it in the group chat this morning. I saw Brody quote retweeted it, but Vortex was a little bit salty, wasn't he?
What was
I
it?
think they are
Was
a little
he?
bit.
They
salty.
tweeted, Vortex tweeted a screen capture of Disarray's COD wiki, and it said there is no notable
No
achievements or something like
Oh
that.
no.
I mean,
It was
well,
funny.
you got 3-0'd, so...
All right, Connor, let's not make any
It's-
enemies here
right,
because
I
you're
will
riding
say,
on your
you know,
boys.
I mean,
But
I'm not making an enemy. I'm just being honest. I got 3-0'd. It's fact.
It's online, you know. Look, I'm not going to discredit their win, but you've got to consider there are a few factors here. It's online at the end of the day, so we're not really going to get to see these guys go head to head on LAN anytime soon.
maybe even not on this game.
Yeah,
That's the
and as
upsetting
point-
thing about all
yeah.
this.
Yeah, you're not going to get to see it go head to head on LAN anytime soon. And as Vortex memed, you know, at the end of the day, these guys, they haven't really had much history in terms of winning outside of this first 1K. So let's not get ahead of ourselves here. In my opinion, at least, I think these guys, they still need... I mean, look, I'm not discrediting them. I still think they're a great team now. I think they definitely proved that. But let's give them a couple more weeks, a couple more 1Ks. Then we can say, well, fucking hell, these guys are insane. They're like one of the best teams right now.
I'm going to make a bold prediction here.
They are
Bold-
one of the best teams right now. Say that.
I'm going to make a bold statement and say with chess that they are better than Train Hard.
Oh,
Yeah.
facts.
I don't think that's like debatable,
Facts.
to be honest. I think at the
Yeah,
moment,
Train Hard at the minute are just like.
Train Hard was
nah.
it was looking
Nah,
good for
praise
them at one
George.
point, and now it's fucking down.
I'm with George, man. These are better than Train Hard.
I
100%.
don't know if they're consistently better than London yet. I definitely don't know if they're consistently better than War. I think if you play those 2 best of 5s out again, it probably doesn't end up going as cleanly as it did for Afro and the boys this
I
time.
mean, the academy wasn't a clean
yeah, it
one
was
at
a
all.
fucking game 5, round 11 or
That's
something. wasn't it?
fucking. That was
I think,
that
like,
was tough to watch.
You got to consider like a number of these teams are still on their honeymoon periods as well. Like
That's
Train
true.
Hard, yeah, right. That roster's still been together for quite some time, but they've still got some teething issues to work through. And then of course the Royal Ravens Academy, they've just brought on Henry. Like they still have those issues to get through. Like I
Yeah,
think-
but
Refining
that's
Henry
just
as a
That's just
player.
like saying that with this team as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, but the
but
thing,
then-
okay,
but
the
then-
thing you have to remember here is, I think Brody's going to make this point anyway. So sorry to cut you off, buddy, but
no, go for it.
Henry going onto a team like Royal Ravens with players who've been playing like a certain sort of play style for years, that what the pros consider to be the right play style, is very different from Henry being on a team with people who haven't really been at the top level before, who are just coming fresh off the fucking youth scene, just trying to gun everyone in straight sight. Jay Gizmo, straight prodigy of the youth scene, appearing out of nowhere like Jesus of fucking Nazareth after 3 days of death, just being like, I am here to ascend beyond all mortal realms and shit on Dave for a fucking 3 maps straight. Like, how reliable is that, in all fairness? As much as that is something that actually happened, and it probably will happen again, because Joey is a fucking god, like, all things considered, Henry going to Royal Ravens is not the same as this team forming. They play
Yeah,
two
I
different
agree.
styles, and Mad Cattle want them to
I'm
be
not
together.
Saying that, but no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the fact that he just said that they've all got their issues to work through. It's a
Yeah,
new
but
team.
the thing is,
a new team.
this team is a new team, but they're so slay
Yeah.
heavy. They don't have like structure. They're not going to work through an issue with the structure right now because they're just
Jeez,
running
what
through people
structure
through
are you
running
being?
through people with gunners.
Yeah, I think that's the key point here is that, like, yeah, all right, they may have worked through their issues, but you know, if they just work through this a little bit quicker, like sooner
Yeah.
or later, London Royal Ravens, they're either going to click or make a roster change. And when that happens,
I think that
they'll
I
face a
think
new
this
threat,
Royal
like-
Ravens team is already better than any previous Royal Ravens team, as it is.
Well, yeah.
I
I
don't
can
know.
agree to that. I think Henry is a very
No.
good player. I think you know, he's still got to find some consistency, but that is going to happen as he sort of settles into the role,
Nice true.
as it were. Oh my god, it looks like Ang. Anyway, moving on. So that's
That's
Afro. Do we have
Afro.
any final
Yeah.
thoughts on Afro? Steve?
I do. I think that just to kind of
Afro's fucking nutty, bro.
They all are, really. I think to just summarize this team, though, in a heartbeat, really, is that this team is currently in the ascendancy, and it's just so far we don't know how far they can ascend. Now, the issue being here is I don't think that their playstyle is sustainable over a long period of time, just because they're so reliant on just bullying everyone around the map all the time.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there is some good stuff here that Joey communicates like an absolute god, and that Connor is potentially the second best AR in Europe.
Thank you.
I think not
Oh,
you, fucking
dear.
BB Connor. I think he's like the best AR in Europe outside of Insight, but obviously Insight's not here right now.
Yeah.
So, like big plaudits to these guys. They have got the talent now. If they can like lock that into like a really repeatable strategy, probably good enough to take it to SNG. Like, not even kidding. I would be so excited to see this team take on SNG in current form. SNG are out here fucking popping off the Americans, being like, "Nah, fuck the Yanks," and they're all out. So like now, if this team can come in and just fuck all of Europe, then
I want to see him face War again.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I feel like I have
Well,
to
you
see
talking
him
about
face
Singularity
War again.
face war?
Oh,
or
no,
you
I
talking about
want
these
to
guys
yeah
face war?
both even.
Nah, I want to see these boys face War again.
I
Like,
don't
I'm
think-
sold on them, but I just want to be further sold on them.
I don't think that best of three, that best of five is a 3-0 again, because all of those maps were insanely close in that best
That's
of
what
five.
I mean. That
Yeah.
was really, really
They were
close.
really close. Everything was like the hard point was like 12 points. The domination came back to a comeback at the end or something like that. And
Yeah,
like,
they had to come back. They was down like.
yeah, it was
30.
down like 30 points in the last minute or something like that. It was
Mhm.
fucking bonkers.
Mhm.
Joey went mad. Like, it was just mental. Afro started off that map like terribly as well. So all of that stuff mixed in together there, I think this team has got like real grit. They've got like they've got that dig deep ability where teams that like the Singularity don't have, where they go down in a map or go down in a series, they can't bounce back. I think this team has it because they just think they can just bully anyone anytime. Like if they just have two of their players pop off at the same moment, they win any map. It's just a question of making that a consistent, repeatable thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think we'll see what happens with this roster. I think it's fair to say they do have a lot of talent, as you say, George, and hopefully they can repeat their success in this 1K and further 1Ks. Because
sure.
of course we've still got a few more to go, and there is a few more chances for these guys to face off against the War squad, which is what we want to see. That being said, wasn't the only shock. This 1K I think was possibly
Yeah, this was
like
a big shock in 1K.
there was a lot of surprises. I
Just-
think a lot of shocks going around.
Just
What are you
while
trying to say,
we're
George?
on the topic of Connor being right, should we just give him like all of it in one go and just give him CD's team as well? while we're on
No.
it?
No, we shouldn't
Why?
because well, no, we'll get to
Why
that.
was that? I was
because
watching the
there's a
Queen's
series
speech
of
one.
there is a series of events which led to this happening. So I think it's important to start chronologically
Okay.
in the round of 32 with
Okay.
Elitist
Well,
losing
first
to
he
FTW
got
Elite Evolution.
resurrected from the great big ice ball from two Eskimo people.
What are you on
And
about?
then
What
he
shit
became
are
the
you
last.
talking?
Then he
Oh, what
became the
have you
last
smoked
airbender.
now?
Oh, he's talking about Aang with CD.
Okay.
Okay. Let's let's
Chris,
wing
shut
it back.
Are you taking your meds, Chris?
CD,
No, I haven't, mate. I don't know what day it is. What?
CD
Right,
is not
where's up?
Aang.
Elitist and FTW
Elitist and
Evolution.
FTW Evo, let's
First
go
big
here.
shock of the 1K. FTW Evolution, they end up winning 3-2. Start up 2-0 up. They almost get reverse sweeped. It comes down all the way to, I think Elitist were like 5-3 up in the Search and Destroy. I went
Bottle
back and watched
jobs.
it. And I think it's fair to say they bottled it. It went all the way to round 11, and FTW Evolution, they're able to shock them. Elitist drop out in top 32. Now, I will preface this by saying that allegedly there were some booting issues going on. Allegedly FTW booted.
There always
Genesis
is.
out of the game.
Oh,
Or at least they were messing with Missouri. They were sending some packets of info over. But still, I think this is another one of those, I guess, another point in a long line of issues I think Elitist have faced over the past 3 or 4
for
2Ks,
sure.
especially since making that big change. Well, that was forced. I mean, Harry left them, and then they got Genesis in. What is happening with Elitist right now? I think that's the question we should go with here, because losing to FTW Evolution is so uncharacteristic of them.
I think it's the.
FTW ain't bad, but it's hosted
Okay,
well.
this is not the same FTW that we think this is. So this is the FTW that is effectively just GTZ Bulls from Malta.
Yeah.
Oh, they're awful. I'm joking. Nah, I'm joking.
Oh,
Nah,
fuck it
that's
now.
Branders and Co. Like,
Yeah, it
they're
is.
nice.
Yeah.
But are they nicer than Elitist? No.
No,
I
So,
don't
yeah.
think they are. No.
Yeah. Okay, I thought it was the other FTW roster.
No, they're
But
not
even
18,
then,
are they?
that's not. Yeah, even then, like I don't expect Elitist.
I'd expect
to lose
Elitist to
the
beat the main FTW. Yeah.
easily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The only reason I flip it on its head is because of host.
Yeah, but that's only accounting for 2 maps. How did they lose a full fucking series? They got a better seed and everything. Like,
Yeah, I imagine the seat because I know it was two. I know it was 2-0, 2-2, and then 3-2.
which
So I
obviously the
imagine it
fucking
was-
last 2 maps account for that. But how are you losing
Yeah.
S&Ds to this fucking team, man? How are you
Well,
bottling
Well, S&D
5-3?
is obviously S&D is obviously.
Yeah, but
like, the game
FTW
modes.
Evolution, fucking what is that?
Well, they're going to have been together. You gotta think,
92nd
like-
seed. Like,
Well, yeah, but you got to think, right, that what we've always talked about with Search and Destroy is that the team that has been together for longer is going to be more proficient in Search and Destroy, right? And at the end of the day, I mean, for all we know, Elitist could be struggling through some Search and Destroy issues with this new roster. Oh, thank you, Heavens, for the sub. Appreciate that. Bud.
Taylor Ritchie.
Love
Oh
to
shit!
see
Wait,
that.
what do you get if you sub today? It's a Sunday.
Oh shit, what's the incentive today, boys?
Economist takes his hat off for an extra day.
Oh.
That's just.
No, I don't think that's the case.
That's
Subbing-
shit.
You
Sub
get
incentives
1K
today.
luck for the next week.
Well, Taylor isn't a player, he's a
Economist,
streamer.
every
so
time we get a sub today, Economist shaves off one part of his shitty beard.
one hair of his beard.
Just it's like reverse Hangman.
Oh, I bet you ain't even got hairs on your chest, little boy.
No, he does
No,
actually.
you don't want me to. You don't want me to pull that up.
Yeah, we don't want proof. We don't want proof.
Right, anyways,
Here's what
back.
you get today on a Sunday. If you sub, you choose the next team to win the 1K and it comes true.
Alright, sick.
Oh god, someone's going to choose FTW Evolution. It's going to happen. It's
It's
going to
gonna
storm the
happen, innit?
scene.
Right, next. Right, okay, let's get back to the Team Elitist then. I think this team's in real trouble. I do. I think
agree.
because they lost Harry, they have lost the main component of what makes them good at respawn. I'll say that now the best player on the team is Aroma. He's your AR player. Where is the hill
100%.
pressure coming in? Like, where do you go for objectives? Like, Aroma can't do it all by himself. He's got spawns as his objective as a primary in respawn. So to think about this team overall, they are a consistent team with players that will never really bomb out, but they're never going to pop off either. They're all
I
what
think
you...
Hawkey's got potential.
Hawkey's got potential, but where is it? It's not been materialised this year. It's not come to play.
Yeah. What
Like-
Hixie?
No, too shy. And like this is the
No.
thing, he's not
Too
come out of
shy.
his shell, and the whole team,
Yeah.
the whole team needs to come out their shell in order for this team to
Mm-hmm.
work. I think they're just lacking, I don't know,
A leader.
something. A leader. Yeah, you're right,
Well, we
Chris.
said that last week. We said there's no ICL for them.
The same thing is true though. It's still true this week, and it's being even further
Yeah.
exacerbated by a passionate and then a momentum-filled FTW Evolution side if they win 2 maps on the trot. Like, this team clearly can't mentally reset. I'm concerned for them. Reason I'm concerned is because, like, on paper, this team should be good. This team should be beating these kind of teams. Now, as much as it's a fluke, they're consistently like a top 8, maybe top 16 team at worst, like every single week. But that's their ceiling. And then obviously the thing is with having a ceiling that low is that you can very easily just drop through the floor. Now, if whether this is a blip on the radar and we see them back into like round 6 next week, that's remains to be seen. But I think with Team Elitist, I still think that there are some worrying and troubling signs with this team that need to be ironed out. Someone needs to just take the reins of the squad and just be like, fuck it. I am leading this team into a direction that makes sense. I'm going to try and motivate maybe 1 or 2 of these players, maybe Hawkeye, maybe Genesis or someone to pop off. Just be like a really dynamic player like Harry was and like Chaxter was when they had Chaxter as well. So someone who will be not afraid to make a play, to just do something fucking crazy in the moment that might work and might swing a whole fucking game in your favor. Like, I feel like this team just lacks. They probably play really strong fundamentals. They just lack some kind of just, hard hitting power. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think? Well, how many weeks? Right. I think this is the more apt question. How many weeks do they have of 1Ks before they make another change? If it keeps on going wrong. How much time do they give it?
No, I don't know. Not next week. Two more weeks of like outside of top 16 placement. I think maybe the player that you need to unlock here is Hixie. Like, I'm looking at him probably to be the player who's unlocked because like I know that people vouch for him a lot in the scene. I know that
people are doing it in the chat.
Oh, they're doing it in the chat right now. I know that people vouch for him a lot in the scene, so he's got to have it from somewhere. It's just the thing is, maybe on this roster it doesn't materialize for him. Maybe he's playing around players that don't give him the spots that he wants to be in. I don't know what it is, but I've never really seen it. Because I don't cast a lot of Hixie. The last time I cast him was in like the Summer Cup or something, or like ESPU Spring Championship when he was on Aerox. I don't get to see a lot of Hixie, but if people are vouching for him in chat right now saying he's good, then if he's got to be the player that's got to fucking pop off,
he needs to step up.
Then he needs to be doing that.
Yeah.
At the moment,
but it shouldn't just be him. That's the thing, right?
Well,
he can't just solely rely on
well, it's he and Aroma basically, right? As far as I see it.
Well, I mean, like Aroma's your AR, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what?
I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens at the end of the day. But I don't think this roster lasts if they keep on having performances like this. They haven't placed it outside.
What time frame do you put on it?
2 weeks. I think you guys hit the nail on the head there. Like, to be honest with you, I mean, I obviously don't know the internals of the team. I obviously don't know if they have figured out any issues they've come into play. I mean, I know for a fact that they blamed their loss versus FTW Evolution on connection issues, right?
I think that's probably one of those
how
things.
How long does that last? Right? I mean, how you can't blame.
I mean, the cracks are starting to show. Obviously, if they're starting to blame that sort of issue.
Yeah, so. I just think it's like so rough for a team like Elitist that not that long ago we were saying could have broken into the top four when they had Harry, and they were on an incredible rise, and now are just hitting top 16, top 32, in a 1K. I don't think.
83 I mean, like a pickup team.
there is, I think, personally speaking, I do not believe that this team is in a good spot right now, and I don't know how long they last for. So we'll see. But yeah. Let's move on to the next one then. The next big hitter, which is, I guess, the final point before we move on to, gassing Connor a little bit more, which is Tal and TSU. So the Atlas Lions this week going into it. Our boy Amir was very happy. He was ecstatic at the fact that they wouldn't have to face BDS in seeding because Tal had acquired the 4th seed.
To quote him, 7 weeks in a row.
Yes. Tal were on track to face Elitist, right? Elitists are out of their way. They're perfectly fucking fine. They are going to get into the top 4, no problem. And then they face TSU, a roster that we talked about as one of the candidates to move into the top 16. TSU end up winning.
Big fat upset team.
Top 16. I mean, this is again just one of those storylines that to me is just incredible because for Tal, a roster that have proven themselves time after time, they've been a very consistent team.
And have just made an upgrade for a player as well.
Yeah, like this is incredible to me. But I think it does speak volumes as to how good TSU are getting at the moment.
The thing about TSU as well is they actually stick. Like, obviously, they've been a roster that's been around for a while now. I don't really know how sold I am on some of the players on the roster. I think Toki is good. However, the jury's still out on how much that kid is sitting on top of his router. I'm still not sure. I'm still not sure if he's an onliner or actually like that good. Some of the kills I see him get, I think maybe you are just shredding kids online. I don't know if you do it on LAN. But I do think that he's obviously the driving factor. I also, like, as much as he's got such a whack gamer tag, because it's literally just his name, but Charlie Cuthbert is actually good. Like,
he needs to get a new gamer tag.
He needs to get a new gamer tag.
I don't think he does. I like it that he's got just his name as it.
Just call him Cuthbert then or something like that. But, like, seriously, he's actually good. He's clutch in search, which is something that this team, I think, was needing. And, I don't know, TSU here beating Tau, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for Tau. It's probably just a blip on the radar. They've been way too consistent this year to kind of, you know, say that this is anything other than that. Again, I suppose the same can be said for Elitist, but we've already kind of projecting them to have a downwards trajectory. But with Tau, we only assume that since they got Sucre, they'd be up. But here, a firm loss to TSU is a bit of a low blow, really. It's a bit of a punch below the belt, isn't it? But I don't know. It's the float. Pooney can't hold it. Can't hold it up.
Float in bed, yeah. He needs to get that shit. He needs to be grounded, quite literally.
I don't know. So okay, let's just do the thing here then. So TSU, we'll talk about TSU after, but first things first, Tau, let's just quickly get on topic with these guys. Do we think this is cause for concern, yes or no?
No.
Yeah, well, yes and no. It's like,
Okay.
because the thing is, the big storyline, the overarching point that we've always talked about, both on the 1Co show and of course now with this new Beyond the Call show, is that currently in Europe you have a top 4, right? And Singularity have now left that top 4 to go to America, and the spot in that top 4 has opened up. And now you've got these teams that are vying for that 4th spot: Elitist, Tau, BDS, and now of course I think you have Afro's team, which is I think firmly in that 4th place spot. I think if you're talking firmly in the race for that top 4 spot, I think this sets Tau back quite a bit. Personally,
okay.
I mean, if you can lose to a squad like TSU, who in my opinion are not a top 4 roster, I think there are clearly
just about
some
a top 16
holes.
roster. So
yeah, I mean, like there are clearly some holes showing in your lineup or your strategies at the very least.
Yeah,
I
mean,
think that
it's
needs to be
the
more.
thing. Like,
I don't think
everyone's
it's
vying
cause
for
for
this top
concern.
4, but I think this week was just a minor setback.
yeah,
It's
I
just a
don't
blip
think
in
it's
the
cause for
system.
concern. I think Tau anyway are better on LAN than they are online, which sounds weird for a Spanish team in the European scene. But like I think
Are they?
well, they fucked people at fucking Minnesota, and that
Did
was
they?
out of nowhere. Like
Yeah.
they did really well at Minnesota, and
Yeah,
out of
so they're
nowhere, 8.
What was their placement?
Top 8, wasn't it?
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't top 8.
I'm sure it was.
Pretty sure it wasn't top 8.
But anyway, they did really well at
Oh.
Minnesota. No, because the Legends they were like top 16. I'm sure they did, and they beat Alleged. They beat
don't think it
Alleged.
was top 8.
I'm pretty sure it
Yeah,
was.
they've done well.
Anyway, they
They
did
got
well.
top 8. I mean, fair play
They
to
did well at Minnesota, and my point here is, top 12.
Top
Okay, I
12.
was out a little bit on the fucking losers bracket, but that's still fucking sick. So, that's like Tau are by all accounts a fucking good team. They shouldn't be losing to TSU. That's the end of that. Do I think TSU are getting better? Yes. Do I think they're getting good enough to beat Tau every week? No.
No, yeah. I mean, we'll see. I think it's good, right? I mean, this is obviously you can't go too far.
I'm going to
because
toilet real
it's
quick,
just
one
one match at the end of the day. So again, you can't take too much from just the one match, but at the end of the day, TSU is still improving, and that's just outside of this match with Tau. I mean, this isn't an offense to the guys on the Tau. I mean, it is in a way. But if you would have given me this lineup of 5 at the start of the year and said, "Do you guys think that they're going to beat the lineup of Tau, for example, in a best of 5?" I would have said, "Fuck no. There's no way on this earth that that's going to happen." And these guys have absolutely proved themselves. I think, you know, from a roster that did, in my opinion, didn't really make a name for themselves in Black Ops 4 or any season prior to that. They've come in here, and I think they've given themselves somewhat of a good name. At the very least, if this TSU roster doesn't stick, which I think they will do because they have done
They
through
will.
thick and thin so far, they will at least get themselves into good, better teams very, very soon. The players that deserve it will do. And I can't personally pick out which players those are right now. I think I need to see more of TSU to say what makes these guys tick. But at the very least, I think they should be very proud of themselves. They should be very happy with what they're doing at the moment.
Yeah, I don't, as you guys said, I don't think it's an issue. I don't think it's an issue for Tau at all that they lost. I think it's just a blip. I think there's been a lot of blips this 1K. A lot of
It's been
upsets,
weird,
so I think-
yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't think that they should be too disheartened by it. But for TSU, it's good. For me though, I just need to see more of them.
Yeah,
I feel like I've
100%,
not.
Yeah.
I haven't watched enough of them to give a full judgment on the fact that that was comfortable for them. They should be beating them. Like, I think I need to see more of them because we haven't really kept an eye on them. So I think coming up to the next 1K, we'll definitely keep an eye on those guys. But on a whole, getting to where they're placed as well, it is talking good volumes for them.
We're still on TSU here.
Taking, I mean,
Yeah. Wow.
taking like Cue Ball and Co last map, like it was good for them,
Mhm.
even if they
Yeah.
did lose.
Bearing in mind that team is just a pickup team that they played.
Yeah, but it was just a team of like fucking shooters. You know what I mean? Like
Where are you going
it
with
was
this one?
It was a good pickup team. Like
Yeah, not very deep. Okay, cool.
Hmm?
Not very deep in like strategy, just straight shooters. What you're saying? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
like
just,
as in,
they're
you're
just
talking like
good,
pure
you know what I mean?
talent.
Mm.
Yeah, like individually they're just all good, and combining that together, they're done well.
Okay then. So is that wrapping up the discussion on TSU then?
Yes,
think
we
so.
can move on to Connor's going to get gassed a little bit here.
Okay. Seed
yeah.
start.
Cubo!
Now, look, let's just say at the start of this, the reason I started by prefacing about Elitist being beaten by FTW and Evolution, and then, of course, Tau being beaten by TSU, is the fact that in spite of CD's team getting top 4, the reason they got top 4, and I'm not saying they couldn't have beaten Elitist and couldn't have beaten Tau, they probably might have done, and we can't really say either way, but it is fair to say that they did get a fairly easy run in comparison to maybe the other teams in the semis.
Who'd have thought that Johnny W would find himself in the top 4 of a 1K?
Not me.
It's not Val season 2
Who'd have
anymore,
thought?
Johnny.
No, Val. He's still
Living
trying
that
to
one
work
down.
off that.
Yeah.
Yeah, still trying to work off that one London Docks.
Now this is obviously
performance.
a team that's kind of still new because Johnny's been removed from Kwana.
It's just a pickup roster as well.
I hope it
not
sticks.
It's not.
I hope it
I think they
sticks.
can this isn't a rag on the roster, but I think again, and it's like I said even before the 1K show at the very start when we were talking about what the top 16 seeds were, I think CD and Saiyan personally, I still think they deserve a better roster. I still think individually speaking they are better than Snake, Trance, and Johnny W. But if it works, it works.
But there's not really that many rosters out there at the moment that are actively looking for people.
No, they may be soon, but at the moment, I think for now, as you say. Yeah, for now, I think, as you say, this is a solid roster.
Yes, it certainly is. I hope the roster kind of stays together until other things start to fall apart. I think it's probably just a kind of
What's your plans with that?
it's kind of like a holding place, isn't it, for these players at the moment? Just until better things come along, I'd assume.
Yeah.
But the roster's good. I like it. Johnny was definitely languishing at the bottom of the scoreboard at most of the matches, but that's expected. You what, Connor?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Jonathan, innit? It's just what he calls himself.
Jonathan W.
Jonathan W.
Was sitting
he's
languishing
grown into an adult now.
Languishing at the bottom of the scoreboard as per usual. But CD was doing well. CD's the truth.
I just rate CD, man.
CD, I loved it when CD reverse swept TSU for the second week in a row, and then oh mate, I lost it.
Oh, bro, it's amazing.
Big fan of CD.
So funny.
Big fan of CD, and CD's a big fan of us. So we got a lot of love going around in the circle for that one.
I think for me, I don't want to, get my Oracle wall back out.
Oh, there we go.
No, I think ever since I did work with Afro and CD, like as I spoke about it before, actually to you guys, like the way they just are, their mentality and stuff, like
Right,
work
okay,
ethic.
work ethic.
yeah, their work ethic, the way they approach the game, the way they approach their everything regarding scrims, tournaments, like physically out of all the rosters I've worked with, I could tell that those two may have come this far. I'm not going to say I knew there was because obviously I don't know that, but it was my feeling that it was going to be these two if anyone. So I'm glad to see it happen.
I think, I'm not going to say everybody knew that, but I think, we were able to tell that they were individually talented players way back in, in Black Ops 4 when we weren't, when they made their debuts. I think it was fair to say that they definitely had some talent behind them. It just was a sort of a while before they managed to get noticed in that sense.
Yeah.
Quick question on the whole Connor Mez hype train future gaming team. Where is Robstar these days?
He's still crashing about.
Hopefully getting fucking lessons.
Where is he?
He's gonna
I
show up
swear
on
he was on a good
6
team
point.
like a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
He was on like a month ago, and I haven't heard from him since.
Where is
I
he
know the
gone?
rest are playing the Black Ops 4 tournament.
Where's Rob gone then? What's happened to Rob? Is he nowhere now?
idea.
Is he busy back on Gridlock sniping people? What's happening?
Just fucking back in water, crashing his bike, mate.
He
Rob
he
quit Respawn.
Respawn.
What the fuck?
That's the That's the call.
Has he
'cause he's
got no
offers.
offers?
But he had offers.
Jesus.
Like he was on teams, as George says. So I don't really understand where it all went wrong for Robstar. Maybe his
Probably
attitude was
shit the
just
bed.
shit. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe crashing the
Yeah,
bike
we
in
don't
Malta
know.
was his peak.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's
It's-
he was there for the
Uh,
clout.
He was there for the clout. Fair play. I mean, like we said, as you say. I mean, who else was on that future roster? Con, you should
Hectic.
know, so was
Oh,
Afro.
shit. That was fuck. That was
You should know this. Afro,
Hectic.
CD,
That was
Robstar.
Aaron's on it.
Robstar, Afro, CD. Oh, who was the last one?
Hectic.
Hectic. Wait, was it?
Don't think so. He was on Kite. He was on
Oh,
Kaiser, wasn't he?
Oh, Malta. Oh, not a Malta.
No, more. It was Robstar, CD, Scan, Afro, Josh.
MVP. yeah.
MVP. Oh
that's
man,
the one.
Josh. Where's he gone?
Where's he gone?
Is he still knocking about?
He does
Yeah,
football,
well,
don't
he's
he?
dropped off.
I'm pretty
He
sure he
does
plays football.
football. Oh, okay,
I'm
fair.
pretty sure he's a footballer.
Not anymore. He's had a knee injury and he's gone back to COD.
Yeah, after Black Ops 4.
He's
Yeah.
ruined
Good
his
way to go.
professional career.
I think a lot of people did actually quit after Black Ops 4, though, to be fair.
Feels sad. It feels bad, man. To be fair, I
Yeah.
thought that Black Ops 4 in general was a year where we had a load of
Ended on a
newcomers
high,
break
they
into
did
the
a-
scene.
You
It's
ended
so
on a
funny,
high.
right? Because Nasty broke into Respawn in Black Ops
Black Ops
4, and
4.
now he's on the Royal Ravens.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so many players. I mean, like, I think CD's debut was Black Ops 4. I can't. I'm
Well, that's
pretty
when he
sure it
started
was.
getting noticed, at least.
Yeah, at least that's when we noticed him. Him and Afro as well. So it's kind of funny that a year later these guys have broken their way into the top of the amateur circuit. And fair play to them. They're done very, very well. Clearly,
the
Black
boys.
Ops 4. Black Ops 4 was not not just a fluke.
Not the
as it
shit
were.
tip that everyone thought it was.
Yeah, everyone was like, "Oh, it's just Black Ops 4. Wait till we get back to Modern Warfare."
Ah,
Shit,
it's the
man.
same fucking game.
Yeah, crazy. So,
Let's
any
move
more
on.
thoughts, I guess. Yeah,
No,
to
I'm pretty
finish?
convinced
No?
that if the CD team sticks, it won't get top 4 again, but it will get probably like top 8, maybe top 16. Top 8, I
Yeah.
think, is probably a good place for this team to sit consistently.
Comfortably.
I think they'll get the occasional top 4. You what? Say that again?
I think it's comfortably a top 12 team.
Yeah, top 12 for sure, but I think they're comfortably top 8. I think they'll occasionally break into top 4 every couple of weeks, but
Unless they're
Top
playing me.
why do you fucking say this every time? It's just such a
I'm
vibe killer.
nasty. I'm
You're
nasty, bro.
nasty. All right,
You
mate.
don't even see me on the sticks, bro. I had to carry you against
Alright.
Randu. Well,
Right,
What do you mean? I
right.
don't think that happened. Did
Let's-
it?
let's-
Do you think that happened, George?
Let's leave it. I'm fucking done with this conversation already. Right, let's move on. Let's just quickly running down the order of a team that's having a bit of a damage trajectory. Let's just continue the trend of shitting on Train Hard for just a minute longer. We spoke about them briefly earlier on, but let's just get a full assessment of this team right now. Do we think they've run their course?
No. Why? I don't. Why are we? I don't understand why.
I think
we're
they're
now
just falling
saying
off the
this.
grid, man. Like, they're
Right,
just
look.
Well,
not
because there's,
working
I know,
out
the reason I bring it
anymore.
up, Brody, is because I know there's conflicting opinions here. I know Chris thinks that they're pretty much done. I know that you still have some faith in them. I'm very much on the fence here. I don't know what
Could we
Connor
just
thinks.
call them Titanic
Why?
from now on? Because
Why,
that's what they
though?
are. They are a sinking
Right, look.
ship.
Okay, look. If we've been hyping up Afro's team on this stream, right, which is what we fucking.
But they're in
right?
the ascendancy, whereas
They-
the opposite
they
is
lost
happening
to
for
the
Train
same-
Hard right now.
Yeah, but they lost to the same team 2 weeks in a row.
That's
like,
true.
You can't say too much. We can't say, "Oh, Train Hard are fucking failing."
Well,
if
surely
they lost to
they
the
should have
same
learned
team
from their
that
first
they-
mistakes.
Yeah, but I mean, what can you do when the team that you're playing has just clearly got a lot better and then went on to beat the Royal Ravens Academy and X-War? We can't say that Train Hard have completely lost it based on this one fucking, 1K. Like last week, yeah, right, mate, the storyline was Afro's team had come out of nowhere and beaten them, and therefore there were question marks over Train Hard. This week, the same thing has happened, but the team they lost to then went on to win the 1K. The situation is entirely different. And in no way does that mean that Train Hard have shit the bed and they need to split up. Like, I do think that they still have a bit of life in them.
I think, yeah, there's life 100% there. I don't think they're down and out yet.
I just
It's
saw
gotta
CD's
take
message in chat about me, sorry. Yeah, carry on.
They've just got to take a look at things, I think, and just try and look where they went wrong. Maybe like it's just as simple back as going to the draw board.
Yeah, they're not
Just
like, all right, we've said before that they've got that there are certain players on the team that may have attitude issues, but like they're not that bad that the players won't sit down together and go through their VODs and watch them and see what their issues are. They are fairly. I mean, Whalers is a fucking veteran as far as veterans go in the top amateur scene. So
Really
I
interesting
have
background.
faith in this roster to go back and watch and see what's going wrong. If not, like I said, I mean, there may be a couple of roster changes.
I think the
It
reason
may be.
I'm so concerned for them is in the matches that I've watched of them lately, they have been showing not like, okay, it doesn't matter who they're playing. That doesn't matter. It's more to the point of the way that they're playing just seems so not train hard. There's something going wrong communicatively or just generally as a general kind of structure in that team right now that just doesn't seem to be working. I do think it's something they can work through. I don't think this team needs a roster change. I think there's enough talent on the roster to carry it through. There's enough experience on the roster to carry it through. I just think they need to reassess what's next, really. You know, where they go from here. They've had two underwhelming results versus Afro's team, obviously both times. And that's, you know, there's nothing to be ashamed of. They won the 1K this week, right? But at the same time, there's obviously a window here for Train Hard to really show that they are a top team. And that window is starting to close, is my concern. They're going to have to reassess maybe like some role or something to try and get past this roadblock. It's like the monkey on their back at the moment is Afro's team. And I just think they need to try and shake it.
Agree.
I don't think they're done. I just think they're in need of just a kind of rethink, maybe.
Mm-hmm. A reset. I think I think they need a reset. We'll see. I definitely think they're capable of having the said reset. Like I said, though, they do just need to sit down, I think. And I don't know if Dareal is still coaching that roster.
I think
if
he is still.
I think Dareal definitely would be able to step in and sort of figure out what's going on. So yeah, I definitely have faith in this roster to step things up. That being said, as seeding currently stands, short of this win from Afro and Co. Rocketing them up the seeding, which I don't think it will do, because I think they had the 7th seed before, and then the next seed above them, I think,
they're not going to interrupt the top
or
4,
Elitist. I don't think they're going to interrupt the seeding too much, so I think we will see that face off once again next week, and we'll see whether or not Train Hard will have learned from their mistakes.
Hopefully they have, but we can move on to one of the last couple of teams we want to talk about here. I won't bother speaking too much about the X-Team War side, considering as they lost in a pretty close best of 5, really. Not all the maps. The scoreline doesn't tell the story of the series, but I don't think there's any cause for concern there. The only thing I'll just check in on, just for you all while we're here, is I think BDS have placed the same as what I would expect them to, but the team that I just want to get just a quick check-in on, just to see, you know, how we think they're progressing, is the London Academy. Do we think that the London Academy is progressing fine, or are they just kind of meandering at the moment, or is this where they kind of peak, or what's our just general takes on London right now?
I think they're doing okay.
Yeah,
they could be in a worse situation. Absolutely, haven't changed, but you know, I think they're doing okay considering. They can certainly do better, obviously, but you know, these things happen. At the end of the day, you end up losing in a close series, and it is what it is. You just you shrug it off and you go again. You reset, and the players on that London Academy roster team, they can do that. They've got the experience, they've got the know-how. They can do exactly what Train Hard do: reset, rethink, go again.
okay.
Agreed.
Yeah, they can now.
Brody, you got any other opinions on London? Where do you think they're heading?
I agree. I partially agree with Chris. I think for the most part he's right. I think like this roster, it just does. It's fine. Like I think again, you've just made a change. There's no real reason to be worried about any sort of situation you're in just yet. I think like obviously you're going to be shaken by the fact that Afro and Co came out with the win that they did, but at the end of the day, I think they are, as you say, Chris, a roster that is going to be able to just shove that to one side and say, look, it doesn't matter. It was one game.
And
it was one best of 5. It was a very close. We can beat them next time. And I think that as an aside, I think this is kind of what Afro's team have to be worried about next week is teams that are able to bounce back in the way that maybe the Royal Ravens Academy can do.
And
because
kind of
they
suss
did
them out.
beat 3 teams down that all have the potential to bounce back and beat them out. So, they're going to have the same run of the gauntlet next week. And with all 3 rosters, with Train Hard, with the Royal Ravens Academy, and with X-War, I do believe that they have the mental capacity and I think that just the headspace to say, that was just 1K. We can just beat it next week.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about this team. I don't think there's anything to be worried about. I think they're doing fine. I think they're on a less of a steep upwards trajectory as Afro's team. You've got to remember this team made roster changes at pretty much the same time, so we can measure these two teams against one another to see how quickly one of them's improving and where their ceilings generally lie. So they're pretty good metrics to have. They're 1-for-1 against each other at the moment in terms of 1K. So last week, Royal Ravens won this series. This week, obviously, Afro's team did that back in return. But the Academy, I think they're on a gradual upward trajectory. It's kind of like that, but Afro's team has just kind of gone a bit more like that this week. I think we'll probably see that level out a little bit towards next week. I think it'll be another close series between the two because they'll inevitably play each other once again. And I think, again, it's pretty much Wars or X-Wars run through the top half of the bracket is going to be the same every week, really. They're going to come up against the same teams. They're going to be able to get to the final pretty much every single week. So they're going to be our kind of litmus test for where a team's at, whichever team winds up in the final. So I think we don't need to just worry too much about the War side. I think they're going to be fine. I think the issue here is that we just need to kind of keep an eye on the trajectories of all these three teams that we're now touting as top four. So the Afros team, London Academy, and Train Hard. I think they're all on different trajectories. I think they're all going to kind of plateau at some point, though, around the same time, and then we'll see where these teams really lie. I think that's a sentiment we can all kind of second. And then, I guess, as a result of that, we'll move on. Off the 1K topics, we'll get on to some other stuff.
Fucking hell.
So, do we want to start with which one of the juicy topics where we're going to get a little bit feisty on people do we want to start with first?
Well, I think the biggest one that
You wanna
Brody feels very passionate about, right?
Oh, getting mugged by
Oh, to be
ADOS.
fair, right.
Right.
Well, hang on,
Okay. Let's
We're
context this.
We're
Let's
about two
context.
different things here.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, which one are we
It's
on?
not
Okay,
ADOS.
so you're getting... Okay, we're not on about getting mugged by
I mean,
ADOS.
getting mugged by ADOS is a bit strong. We'll start with this one, right? Fuck
Okay.
you, for one. Right? Look, George said Randall. He's going to come in from Team Descend. Who the fuck's Team Descend? No one knows who Team Descend are. No, I'm kidding.
You're gonna get ripped again.
Yeah, the TD
yeah,
boys are
you
going to wake
just
up
say
like the
what?
fucking... They're going to wake up...
When was the last time
They're going to
we saw
wake up
Team
like the
Descend?
Undertaker from the coffin. It's going to be like straight up and you're going to be back on
Wait, when did we
level
see
this
them?
time.
Nah,
Did you not get the part one that was waiting for you to bite for part two? And you just did.
You just did.
Well,
Have fun, part two, boys.
don't care.
They've got you on
that's a
strings.
response.
They've got you on
Yeah,
strings.
mate.
Response.
Hey, rent free, Brody.
All right, Connor. Fuck you, prick.
Oh, and there's been
Uh,
such
Drink your coffee.
They are rent free, man.
So yeah, for those of you who didn't see, ADOS put out a tweet today saying part one. It's a clip it of the show last week where we were talking about ADOS's emergence as an organisation into the space. Brody sniggered when we said the word Randall from Team Descend, and that must be some kind of meme towards Randall. Reese and the boys at ADOS thought, good
They
meme.
didn't like it.
Let's clip
Didn't
that,
like it.
and let's clip that. Just leave it as Brody laughing, and then leave it there. So, that's just how it be. We'll see how it goes. I just thought we'd mention it briefly. Brody hasn't really got much of a clapback, but I thought it was good content. I'd love people just, especially not tagging us in tweets they've clipped from our stream. That's really fucking good. We're gonna start like a fucking long-term
Alright.
beef with ADOS
Jesus
now, aren't we?
Christ.
We're
Pretty
gonna
much.
Gassed them up for the last 2 weeks running on
I know.
different shows.
it's gas them
Three
up.
different shows.
Gas them up for the last 2 weeks running on 3 different shows. They gotta just level it down a little bit, boys. We're not your enemies here. Watch it, right? We like you guys.
Go pick on Spitfire.
Yeah, go on. Go pick on them.
Go pick on Spitfire. They
Go
haven't
pick
got
on
Bryce
Todd.
anymore.
They haven't got Bryce.
Anyway,
I won't
moving
talk
on.
about you anyway.
Let's
but-
talk about the
Hold on,
other
let's
bit,
just finish up the
like-
Stados thing. Hold on, just quickly. We're not your enemy. We like you. We like what you're doing. Calm it down, yeah. Stay off our men.
There is a part two. Oh, Randall's
Oh,
getting out.
oh,
Brody's
no.
cheating.
I've already spoke to Reese about this, so I'm fine. I'm
You're
feeling
fine.
good.
Brody
Well,
needs-
I'm good here. Right. Anyway, moving on.
Right,
The other
okay.
big thing we're going to talk about. I don't really know how we wanted to word this because we spoke about it, but I'll start it off by saying this week we've seen some rather silly tweets on Twitter. Now,
No.
normally we'd reserve these tweets for the Brummy boys, in which Connor and George would rip into anybody. Who
I'm sure
tweets
they're
out
going
these
to
people.
anyway on
And I'm
Friday.
sure they
Brody,
will. So if you
Brody's
do
got
want to
some
watch
hot
that,
takes.
I'm sure if you do want to
Brody
watch
wants
that,
to be a
there is
Brummy
some
boy
quality.
for
There
an
is
hour.
some quality content every Friday at 7 p.m. where no doubt George and Connor will take this a lot further than I will. That being said, we're talking about the tweets from Finesse Gaming. Now,
Oh,
we
God.
won't
Who?
rip specifically too
Stop
far
it.
into
Oh
Finesse
my
Game. Well,
God.
exactly.
I'm so sick.
We won't rip too far into Finesse Gamer's tweets, but for those of you unaware of the situation, Finesse Gaming yesterday just quit Call of Duty on Twitter. I believe she cited herself as the most passionate and hard-working person out there, and I believe what was her reasoning for quit? I think it was like
So
she
basic. So
was-
let me give you the rundown here.
George, you give go on.
She's on
do
a,
it.
she was on a team of 5 people, finally finding herself on a stable home to compete. The sad part about it is Asterisk AJ, the absolute fucking sex icon that he is, sweeps in and takes 2 players from the roster. So she's like,
Right.
well, if no one wants to play with me anymore and they'd rather snake me for fucking Asterisk AJ, you know, that thing that COD players do where they put players'
Right.
names in quotation marks to make it sound like they're
Mhm.
irrelevant. If people want to snake me for Asterisk AJ, I'm just going to quit. So
Right.
that's that.
Okay. Is that the story?
That's
is
the story.
reasoning.
That's the
Right, Here
reason.
it is.
Yeah.
Here's the fucking hot take. Asterisk AJ is not an incredible player, right? I'm not here to rip on Asterisk.
Holy shit, what a
right?
revelation.
Right? What a revelation. Asterisk
Ow.
AJ has never placed well in a 1K. He likely never will do, and this is I like Aaron. This isn't a
Oh,
rip on the
right.
guy.
The Twitter's
Right.
being blacked out.
Hey?
Huh?
The Twitter's blacked out.
So it's blacked out. Right, cool, whatever. Anyway, Asterisk AJ will never place well in a 1K, not to the placements that clearly Finesse Gaming wants. And Finesse Gaming is not as. I mean, I don't know if she's as good as Asterisk, but she's certainly not miles better to the point where she thinks she should be on a top 8 team. Like, I don't know what she was expecting, right? And this goes for anybody. For all those players out there that quit or for whatever reason are like, oh, I'm so good at the game and I just get put with shit players, right? You don't. The thing is, right, and this goes for Finesse and it goes for anybody else in this situation. I have never once seen anybody who tweets, oh, like this, they quit for this reason, place well in an EG or a Val. I've only ever seen them play in a 1K, play a few pro points, maybe stream a little bit of 8s or 10s, I guess, nowadays, and they place like top 64, top 32 max, right? Like, I don't understand, where has this like concept come from that you deserve to be in a top tier roster? Like, what is the problem here? And this isn't just aimed at Finesse, by the way. This is a generic sort of like at here at anybody who tweets like that.
I think it's an intrinsic thing where people, like, there is a fact, right? A fact of life is that people generally value their own abilities more than other people actually do. So the objective assessment would be, you're not as good at the game as you think you are. It's like nice guys,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, nice guys, people who think that they just deserve to have sex with women because they're nice to women and the other guys aren't,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
No, you're just not as nice as you think you are. It's just the fact of life.
Or
You're-
you just don't have the qualities that
are
those women are
attractive.
looking
Yeah,
for.
exactly. So it's the same thing here with COD players. You're not as good at the game as you think you are. You're not as good as a teammate as you think you are. Your passion might be on. It's the Doug Sensor Martin complex.
It is.
Yeah, but it's like your passion isn't even unrivaled. You don't have the fucking passion that players do.
Yeah,
Players
otherwise
like
you wouldn't
Afro and
quit.
CD that we were just talking about earlier, they grinded through Black.
They've
Ops
been in
4.
some
They
shit.
were literally at the bottom of the barrel at the start of the year, worked their way up, and then ended up. I mean, like, I'm not going to say that ESP Winter like Summer Champs is an incredible fucking achievement.
It's not.
But but they won.
But it's
They
an
still ended up
achievement.
winning a chip because they grinded.
And
through
then
the
your stock
system.
goes up.
Yeah, it's like players like this don't do it. That's just it. Bottom line. If you're not willing to put in the grind outside of 1Ks, outside of these pro point matches, which mean fuck all, like, you're just, I don't know what.
The
you're
only people
expecting.
who really play pro point matches are the people who don't place well in one case and need to keep their PPs up. That's it.
I don't even know if people do anymore. Like, because you don't fall behind if you don't play the pro point matches, really.
No,
Like, I don't
no
know if
one
that's
does
true. I mean,
anymore
I'm
because
sure
the
players
1Ks
can
are
probably tell us.
1Ks are so important that the PP matches actually don't mean much. There are people who don't place inside the points consistently who have to play them in order to get a seeding.
Yeah,
That's
one-
why
like,
the
pro points
PP
are-
ladder is so dog shit.
Yeah, pro points are like good at the start of the year, but now that the teams have like solidified their positioning, it's like Singularity didn't even need to play 1Ks for weeks on end because
Yeah.
they were so far
So
ahead in
far ahead.
seeding, above everybody else. They just didn't need it. So yeah, like, I don't know. I'm
And
just bewildered
the
by
thing
the
that gets
tweets
me
first.
is that people who tweet about this kind of thing. Now, this doesn't. Again, this is not just aimed at Amber. This is also like a fucking shot in the dark at Doug Martin as well. People who tweet like, I'm so good, I'm so talented, I just need a chance for someone to pick me up on a really good team. Yeah, well, they'll just make you look good, won't they? Because the rest of the fucking players are good, regardless of how shit you are. Like, for one. And it's just like, I just need someone to pick me up, I can prove it, I'll win a fucking world championship, and I'm not quitting until I do. and then you quit. Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for sympathy? Like, what are you
I think,
playing
like,
into?
Let's just be clear as well, right? Like, it's a lot like for us personally, it's a lot like for us to turn around and quit.
I'm the most
casting,
talented caster in Europe, but I'm not getting a job with the
stating-
CDL.
Yeah, it's literally that. That is the comparison
Yeah.
to make here. Is literally like us tweeting that we should have jobs already in like maybe not CDL but like top challengers, and it's like, well, we don't tweet that because we know it's not true. Like, all right, we've still got a long way to go. We know where we're at in the scene. So I just think I think this is a general thing, not necessarily just about sort of like.
I mean, there's loads of
I
players
guess
who would
hard
do it.
work.
It's just obviously being brought up right now because Amber's gone that step further and just straight quit. Like, she's just giving it up.
Because of it.
And she's
Yeah.
not even like trying to relocate or revocate inside of esports. She's just fucking done. She's out.
I think it's like, and again, I'm not at an Amber here, but like, I feel like I've seen a tweet from her before along those lines, and it's like I had the same opinion then, which is just like, if you haven't actually put the time in and actually doesn't matter what the fucking team is, just stick yourself in a team with in an EEG or a Val, try and play it, and then if you place highly, you'll get streamed. Even if the rest of your team is absolute dog shit, you will be on stream. You will have a very good KD, clearly, because your individual play is incredible,
If
and
it's
then
as
you'll
good
get
as you
noticed
think it
and
is.
picked up, right? I know, obviously, and we will recognise this, that Amber is in a position which a lot of players aren't, which is at the end of the day that she's female, and she is set back by a
How
few
long have you been
things
holding on to
because
this
of that.
information for?
Oh, too long, mate.
Hang on
It's just
a
incredible,
second.
right? I just thought we should bring this up, though, that at the end of the day, we're not saying, because again, we had this discussion yesterday on the 1K.
You notice here as well that we are having this conversation about Amber as a player, not as a woman. That's not the
Yeah,
problem here.
right.
Now, as much as there might be a victim complex for a lot of women who try and compete in the scene, that like people are passing up because they're women, I don't think that's untrue. I think there are teams and players who are inherently, in a way, passing up certain players because they are women. I think there are plenty of players in the scene, and this has been proven before, in fact. Just look at London, for example. Amelia Rose turns up to London, having not really competed for the whole year, and actually beats most of the people there. Like, hello? Like, how long are we going to sleep on these people for? They are just as good as you are, but the thing is look at them objectively. They're just not as good a player. Well,
just think, like-
okay, some of
Yeah.
them. I'm not saying like them as a fucking blanket term of women, right? But like when you, it's not because you're a woman. It's just because you're not a good enough player at times, or there's something wrong
yeah.
that people don't want to team with you for.
I think, like, yeah.
I'd
go on,
let
John.
Amelia wing me in anything.
Yeah, same.
Because
I'd let Amber wing me in anything.
She's a way better player than me. But like the way I see it personally is like you
Cliffy
need to
just
prove
corrected-
yourself.
Oh, Cliffy corrected me. I mean, it might have been Paris then or something, but some women, a female player or something, did really well at one of the events.
But like the
Wonder
way
what-
I see it, right? You
Huh?
need to just play you need to just play and prove yourself. Like you can't just expect to turn up to these events and play well. Like like the entirety of the female pro league, they all had their separate league. Like
Mhm.
I
Oh,
get
well
it.
at
You
Paris,
want a
yeah,
safe
Paris, my bad.
space. You want a safe space, but like you realistically should be playing in with the EGs, with your vows, and just work your way up because that's the only way you're going to do it.
They're not
personally.
below
Yeah,
you. They're not beneath you.
Cheers, Randall. That's the one. Yeah, there was
Yeah,
no female
Kels.
team at London. It was Kels, Casaruni, and whoever she was with. I can't remember.
No,
who
there,
was on
yeah, there
that.
was a team at Paris who did really well. That was it. That was what I was referring to. There was a team at Paris, female team that did really well.
There was a team at London for. Fuck, it was
I
it
just
Black Ops
like yeah.
I
Black
know.
Ops 4, yeah.
Yeah, there's
It was
been
Black
female.
Ops.
There's been female teams competing for years. I mean, Barrage took a female team to CWR Birmingham one year when it
A female-
was
That's
was
been Riot.
that was 2017.
Yeah,
Obviously,
Riot and yeah.
yeah, there was Riot as well, but that was like the Barrage team was people who are no longer in the scene. It was like a girl called Maya, Caitlin, Sammy, yeah, people like that. And obviously we all know Mauler competing in a skirt and stuff at the event, looking a bit out of place, under a nightclub banner in 2017 as their organisation that funded them. A nightclub funded them.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was something that happened. But like, obviously there are people who are always going to tarnish reputation of the minority, but the majority of these people are really, really fucking good. And this is no discredit to them. I don't want to make this a sexist argument by any means. This is not a problem with sex or anything inside of the esports
It just
world.
comes down to how you are as a player.
It just comes down to how you are as a player. And this is like
Like,
I love
yeah.
Amber. I've got a lot of time for Amber. She's a really good friend of mine. But there is a point where I've got to I'll tell her to her face that I think that she's being a little bit overreactive by just
Right.
because she gets snaked on once. I get you've had it happen to you before, but it happens to everybody.
I think
yeah.
it's so much the issue that no one that she can't find a set team. Right. I think that's
Yeah,
the
that's
thing
the
for her.
predominant issue. But
But
that's
amateur COD.
that's amateur COD. I mean, look at
Yeah,
America.
seriously,
They're playing
yeah,
on a different team every fucking 1K.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. in a nutshell. For me
Yeah.
though, tweet that she tweeted that got me, and this isn't at her because this is what I want to talk about for a lot of players in the scene.
Okay,
but
yeah.
just to quote
Let's
her
try and
on a
generalize
tweet.
this back out again, yeah.
Yeah, this just to quote her on the tweet. She put, "Waking up knowing that you're being forced to give up on your dreams because you're too unlikable to never get an opportunity is a new level of not wanting to get out of bed."
You're not unlikable
Now-
and you're not being forced, you're giving up yourself. This is a choice.
I mean, yeah, not even to do with her. To generalize it back, like there's a lot of people that have quit because they feel like that they ain't got a choice. But everybody has a choice, and the way I see it, and the way I see life is, you can go so long at something. Like, okay, for example, we've been doing casting for what? Obviously, the end game for us who want to be broadcasters, blah blah blah. Same as anything, footballers, fucking rugby players,
Any
music producers,
sportsman, anyone in any
whatever.
industry, yeah.
Yeah.
You can be at that level for that long, and when you quit up, that rise the next day could be that.
You never know.
And you've
The
just
thing is, though, there are so many of us going for the same thing. The talent pool is
Yeah,
so large.
it's
There are
competitive
so
as
many
fuck.
people wanting exactly what you want right now. What you need to do is set yourself apart and then not give up. Because by giving up, you are like falling by the wayside by those 50% of people that don't bother trying to go for their dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So if you're giving excuses into saying, "Oh, it's this person's fault," it's not mine, obviously, because I'm the best there ever is.
Hmm.
Well, bloody prove it.
The first
Do
step,
it.
the first step to achieving your dreams is actually trying to achieve your dreams. Like if you give up halfway, there's no point in even having that a dream as something in your head. You might as well just get rid of it. And clearly, like if you are so set on that, it's like I remember this time and time again. Big Roy always used to say that he wanted to be a professional player and then did absolutely nothing to help his career. Didn't once compete in an EG, didn't once compete in a VAL, just kept
Yeah.
playing wages for varying degrees of money against people, and that was it, and streaming it.
Mm-hmm.
How are you ever expecting to be a pro player if you're not getting
Yeah.
noticed?
And there's one thing that, to be fair, he did very well, and that's build up.
Yes.
People knew him.
Yeah, people
I
knew him
think
because he
that's
was a
one very
fucking
good thing.
mong. People didn't
Yeah.
know him because he was a good player.
No,
Yeah.
but that's all you really need as well. Is like you could like just put your name out there, and he did that very well. Unfortunately, he just couldn't translate it into Call of Duty. But you know,
The moral of the
yeah.
story, kids, don't fucking give up on your dreams.
Yeah,
They're
don't
dreams
give,
for a
don't give
reason.
up
Dreams
when,
be
when you
memes.
haven't. Don't give up when you haven't put like 100% into it. That's what I personally feel. I like.
Yeah.
If you're gonna tweet that you're like you have the most passion and you're the most hardworking player, and
That's a
what
bold
has actually
statement as
happened-
well.
Yeah, like what has actually happened proves that that's just not true. Like I'm never gonna take someone seriously who tweets out that they are hardworking and have the most passionate player in the scene when they've never even played in any EG or VAL, and all they do that to me, and that goes for anyone.
It's the
not
same shit
specific.
with Doug.
like-
Like he says he's the most
Yeah.
hardworking and passionate player in the fucking world. And my point to that is, then why aren't you grinding your way back up with a CDC team?
Why
or
aren't you playing
something?
challenges?
Why aren't
Yeah.
you doing that? You're just stealing paychecks because you're lazy. Like you might think that you're not lazy, but you are. You're trying to scrounge your way onto the NYSL roster. They're a fucking pity giving you some scrims sometimes. Just when they're
He
not.
literally like plays
gets
tens.
He just gets pity scrims and he just plays tens.
Mm.
Like what?
Yeah.
What's your objective, Doug? If you're the most
Man.
motivated and driven person, then motivate and drive yourself to become the best challengers team, and then you might actually get some coverage. People will be like, "Oh shit, Doug can do it versus the second, like the teams outside the top 16 or top 12, or how many teams are in the fucking pro league. Doug can actually do this. Doug can hang. He's straight carrying these teams that he's going and winning these challenges events with." Like, of course he can hang then. Of course you get picked up. You think Mac is fucking sitting there every day on his keyboard just going, "I wish someone would fucking pick me up." No, he's gone 4 events, smashed all of them, and he's fucked everyone in the competition, and now he's on the NYSL.
Yeah.
He's let
He's
his
got
results speak
noticed.
for himself.
Boom.
He's let his results speak for himself. You think fucking Toby Kleenex was sitting there every day last year after being playing on an all-Danish, absolutely dog shit Team Singularity roster in World War II? He was even playing on that in the start of fucking Black Ops 4. The start of the game that he placed top 12 at Champs, he was playing with an all-shit Danish roster where he was the only good thing about it. And yet, still, because he was so good, competing in those competitions, getting on stream, getting noticed, carrying those teams, he got fucking banged up into a good Singularity roster. When the money came in, he was there, right place, right time, dumb luck, get on a good team, smash LG at Champs, and now you're on a fucking salary.
Yeah,
That's
he
all
made,
it
he made
is.
The steps. It's perfect. Yeah, like he made the steps. He did it. And like I say, I think personally speaking, one of the markers is if you're not putting in those early steps, then to me personally, you shouldn't be complaining about having to quit for whatever reason. Like there's always another option. There's always another team that will take you. That's it. That's the bottom line. There's always somebody. You just got to stop having an ego and just go for it.
For sure.
So that's it.
Yeah, I would be so inclined to agree with that. I think it's true across a number of disciplines. I mean, we see it a lot with people in casting. I'm not going to name names because obviously I don't want to shag out my individual peers, but I see casters on my timeline sometimes who I follow who are like, I've been doing this shit for like 8 years, I've cast every day, and yet I still haven't been given a salary position or something like a big time break.
Look, you don't have to do me like that, man. Come on.
It's not. You don't tweet about it though, Chris. Like you're fucking past that. You realise that you fucked yourself one time back in the past, and
Yeah, I did.
yeah, like you realise
Yeah,
that's that. But there's still hope, right? You still don't give up. You still cast. You still try and do jobs with Apex and stuff. You're branching out into new horizons. It's not fucked. Like there's still other things that you can do. I mean, here's the ultimate example of this. So this is an example that won't really resonate with a lot of people in the chat, and obviously within this call, because it's a CSGO example. But the iBuyPower guys got banned in 2015. They got shit on. They got straight smoked. Lifetime bans from Counter-Strike, a game that is now the biggest game in the world. 1 million concurrent players at any given time, day or night, currently Counter-Strike has. So it's the biggest game in the world, and Brax, Swag, cannot play any of the fucking tournaments because no one wants to play with him because he can't play at majors. So what's the point? So now he's changed his horizons, and he admittedly has jumped the gun on I'm going to be a pro Valorant player. I mean, AZK did this. I say Z because he's American, so that's the correct way to say the Z. But AZK did this. He was banned from the iBuyPower scandal. What happened there? Lifetime ban. He now becomes an Overwatch pro. Like, there is obviously different things for you to do. There are different places for everyone to go. If I don't get it in COD, I'm opening up to doing CS. I'm opening up to doing League. When Valorant comes out, I'll give it a go, but so will everyone else. So it's just a question of trying to separate myself above those people. If anything doesn't work, then there's just the next thing to do. If you're a player and you're only good at COD, then there's a management opportunity for you somewhere. If you're a player and you're only good at like CS, then there's a different FPS esport there for you somewhere that just hasn't been released yet.
Sports.
You are.
There's a million different jobs you can get.
I know. There's
Mhm.
something for
There's
there's something for everybody. There's something for everybody in this industry. And if you're really passionate about esports, not just competing, then you'll go for one of those jobs. And that's where
Esports isn't just competing people.
I know. I mean, look at us. We all recognise that we're shit at the game, so we just talk about it instead.
For example, me and George realised that Orgone went for us, and here we are.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
I think everyone realizes that at that point, though.
Yeah.
Just don't know,
You have to try your hand at things in order to know if they're for you or not. Is the fact of the matter. And whilst we've seen people in the past now try their hands at things, it's when they realise that it's not for them, but then do what Amber's doing here and just quit out. Like I think Amber is a great personality. I think her streams are actually good. She just says to me the other day that she doesn't want to stream when she's not competing. So she doesn't care about streaming enough.
Competing other stuff then.
You're clearly not passionate enough, then, are you?
Yeah.
Like,
Just
There's
compete.
people that
There's
are
always
passionate.
something every day.
like
People
dog.
that are that passionate will make 10 fucking orgs, Nick Lethals.
He'll try and he'll try again. He fails. He gets back up. He's done it
It's like
11
therapy,
times.
You can never really get rid of it.
He's
To be fair, guys, I don't necessarily think we should have ended this stream by saying that keep on trying. The best example for that is Nick Lethal. I don't necessarily think that was the best way to end the stream.
I mean,
It's not a
you
beyond
gotta
the-
give him something for the full gifted.
No, it is. No, it
It's-
is because he has got determination.
It is.
After
No,
every single meme and slander he's got, he still fucking does it.
he's a fat fucking meme, and now he's actually finding success. Like I rated Retribute before it closed. Socially, he's actually doing some good stuff with content. Like hell. Gifted subs. Canny's back in the chat.
Who gifted sub? I can't see
Canny.
it.
Canny did it to
Oh,
Randall.
how many did he gift?
One.
Hit us up.
Just the one.
Just the one. Oh, that's
43
all right.
subs
I
now,
appreciate
boys.
that.
Fair play.
43. That's incredible. We're 57 away from a cooking show.
Cooking show with Brody. Yeah. 2 more weeks to hit that before the gifted
57.
subs run out.
57 subs, guys. Who wants to donate 57 subs for a cooking
You
show?
think that it's getting too much and you might not make it. That next day, you can fucking make it and you
I
don't
know.
know because you quit a day.
Imagine
exactly.
if I quit CS:GO casting today and didn't get my endpoint gig tomorrow, and that led to like me getting a call up from ESL like the day after. Like what if I just give it up because I don't think that it went very
Hey,
well?
Visions. Who did that?
Yeah, welcome Visions. Nice to see you. If I didn't think it went very well from when my endpoint cast tomorrow goes terribly and I just give up casting altogether. Like I just get lambasted by the scene. Like I fuck it up completely. It's not likely to happen because I have faith in my own abilities. But like, so let's say that happened, I just quit the next day. But ESL called me and they thought, we've seen your other broadcasts. We set as a one-off. We'll work with you. We'll get things better. We'll make you a really good caster. I want to bring you on board and move you to Cologne when the coronavirus is over. I'm like, yeah, okay, sick, right? But if I don't do that, that could be the thing that's happening tomorrow. That could be it. By the way, tomorrow is Endpoint versus Alternate Attacks in the ESEA Advanced Grand Finals. So that's it. You missed the whole episode, Visions, I'm afraid.
Shit. Terrible. Terrible performance from Visions there.
Be careful with
Hate
UKCS
to
now.
see it.
I know. That's the whole thing. You never know who's watching. You never know who is watching your streams whenever you're streaming. You never know who's watching our broadcast, which is why we try and cast the 1Ks and give the 1K show coverage. You never know who's watching that gets you picked up. So hard work is key. There could always be someone watching. It's like the idea that comes into your head. You know, have you ever heard that thing where football managers, like of youth teams, etc., tell players that there's scouts watching this match, so they'll play a little bit better. Like they'll try and perform. They'll try and do something individual. Like you got to play.
You have to act like that every
You got to
single time.
play every day. Like someone is watching who's going to pick you up. That's what I think,
Yeah.
at least.
I know it's a grind. I know it's hard, but like it works out in the end. And
Also-
obviously, we're not saying like that. There's no luck in it at all. Like obviously,
everything in
everyone
esports is dumb luck.
casting
It's dumb luck.
particularly, there's always like an element of like it might just be your day. Like something goes your way, just by luck you end up getting it. So it happens.
I know,
but
Canny.
obviously, as you
I'm
said,
all up
hard
on
work.
I'm all up on the CS scene, mate. I know Endpoint are a different gravy. They are 1 Swede, 1 Dutch, 3 British, but they're top 38 team in the world. So, all things considered, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Nice.
I know the CS scene just as well as I know
Liking
the COD scene, so we're all good on that
Right.
front. Any questions from chat then,
Yeah.
just before we end
Yeah.
things up? Hey?
People expect it to be like, all right, I get up today and say I'm not scrimming, yeah, and then say I wake up. I told my team I ain't scrimming. Where, say for example, you George, you've woke up and scrimmed. How can I be pissed that you've got an opportunity before me because you've done something that I didn't, and I
Yeah.
took a day off for
Yeah.
no reason?
Mhm.
Simple as that.
Yeah. Any questions in chat, guys? As George said, just feel free to ask, and we'll answer them.
Want something
Preferably
that bad?
quick fire stuff. If
Go
we can.
get it. Rerun the topics.
Um,
Just I might have to rewatch.
we
it.
talked about the 1K, so various different teams, Elitis, FTW, Tau, TSU,
Astros team, all that kind of
CD and
business.
Co. Yeah, we talked about all those boys.
We
so
talked about
that's
Brody
the
getting
1K.
mugged by ADOS. We also talked about before that Toronto Northern Rivals series that happened, and then we're talking about commitment of players and that kind of thing in the long run and
Yep,
esports
that's
stuff
the
like
one.
that.
That's
So
what we're talking about.
probably for you, Kurt, a bit of a dry show. Nothing about Singularity here. We spoke about them as a metric test, a litmus test, and they've just been and smoked everyone in North America. So
Kai
we'll
just
see.
got announced in Revenge.
You
As
shot-
in Revenge the org, as in Kaiasaurus.
That's a
Is that what you're
CS
talking
thing.
about right now?
I think it's a CS. Or is it
Is it if it's a
Kaiasaurus?
CS thing?
Is it Kaiasaurus? Hold on, you could be right.
Because I know you could be talking about Kaiasaurus as in the management.
Yeah,
all
he
right, yeah.
actually
I mean,
is, yeah.
Revenge.
Okay, now
fair play to him.
Team Revenge is kind of it's
Yeah.
it died, it came back. I know graphic designers who got absolutely shagged by them, even with the new management. So I don't think they're really, literally their only claim to fame right now is the fact they have an okay British CS team and the fact that they
Yeah.
literally had one good finish at a COD Champs one time.
AW, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with Revenge. Like, I'm not going to sit here shit on them because I don't know enough about them. But at one point they've had bad management. Don't know if they still do. But I know that the
They've
management
had the
that
Red
picked them up-
Reserve scandal, basically.
Yeah, the management that picked Revenge up were the guy that picked them up at some point. Again, I don't know if he's still the CEO. Was like someone he kept on following, like people in batch on Twitter, and then unfollowing them just to get like a mad following and make it seem as if he's like this mad influential guy when he's not. So that's the only thing I do know. But again, I could be
It
entirely
seems
wrong.
that the organisations that were in that 2015 Champs Grand Final are just cursed to be picked up and put down by shit people all the time.
Don't tell me Davies at Revenge.
No, he's not.
Don't say it.
No, he just smells it.
Smells it. Yeah, but Kurt smells a bit off in it, really.
Oh.
I smelled Davey at Revenge. What, because it's shady business? You think he's there? No, he's stuck at Orbit, mate, with the rest of the shady cunts. Why is Buffers so sexy? Thanks, Tommy. Don't care, though. I'm not that sexy. Chris is fitter.
We need
We like an older man.
man.
We like a pensioner.
Hey,
Alright,
I've
I
got
don't-
no pension in the minute.
I don't see any questions coming in chat, so I think we'll just wrap the show
Yeah.
up for there. We've been live for quite a while, actually. So we'll wrap it up. That's been an hour and 20 minutes worth of a show. So we'll upload this to YouTube as soon as we can, so you guys can check out the VOD. But that's going to be it from us this evening. Thank you guys very much for watching, as always. The Beyond the Core Show, episode 2. Right, it's done and dusted. Join us at 6 o'clock next week. It should be... Oh, wait, hold on. Are you guys doing the 4v4 next week? Is that next week?
Huh?
When are you doing your
S&D tourney. When's the S&D tourney next week?
Huh? What are you on about?
The one you got announced
It
for
got
with
announced,
Obtained.
you fucking idiot.
I'm not scared. I'm actually up on my shit, unlike Chris. Time tomorrow, by the way, Kurt, is 2 p.m.-ish on the Endpoint Twitch. I would love to cast a Warzone tourney.
We'd all do that shit, but it's just the fact that they never implement a fucking in-game broadcaster. It's annoying
Yeah.
as fuck.
Yeah.
No, the only thing you got to do for that is you just got to watch streams. 'cause
Yeah,
it's
but then you're
online.
relying on people streaming.
It's just a 1K show all over again, but for Warzone.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's
Uh,
not bad.
Yeah, you need a producer for that, realistically. Okay, anyway, the thing I was going to say was we're wrapping it up here, of course. The same, we'll be at a different time next week, depending on what you guys are doing. We'll keep you posted on regards to the BTC show. The 1K show will be running as normal next week. Brommy Boys will be running as normal at 7 o'clock on Friday. 2 o'clock, of course, as normal for the 1K show. In the Trench will be out on Tuesday. I think Chris has got something planned for that. A 1v1 should be back this week as well at... What time are you doing? 9 is it going to be, or 8?
It should be 9. 9 is
9.
the normal time, hopefully. But
Back
we're
to
gonna
normal
one
time of
episode
9.
this week, so.
Back to normal time of 9 at 9 o'clock on Thursday as well. So everyone ready for that. Good week of content up ahead. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe from the corona. Thank you to everyone who's a key worker as well. And we'll thank you all for the subs and stuff. So cheers. See you next time.